Joshua. Hi, how are you today? Okay, that's great. And what's been happening with you? Okay, no worries. Um, I think for homework, we were looking at basically finishing the answer to that question that we worked on last week, okay, about the difference between Howard and Obama. So I think we'll look at that first. All right. Um, okay. So both Obama and Howard immediately organized teams to address gun control laws. However, Howard bought the gun back that was already sold and strengthened the law, while Obama only made it to track the gun buyer's background. Okay. Can you see anything there that doesn't sound right? Okay. Um, the use of the word while. Hmm. Okay. I kind of like while, actually. It's a word that you can use to contrast things. So I think it works. I think we need to look slightly earlier there, okay? Um, yeah, you see where it says Howard uh, bought the gun back, which was already sold. That kind of confuses me, okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, all right. Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. So here you're talking about the buyback program. Okay, that's what it's a gun buyback program, where the government allows people to sell their guns, they buy them, they give them money, so it's a trade situation. Um, so, however, okay, Howard, mm, here's what I would do: arranged a, a gun buyback program. Okay, and okay, you don't need a comma there because there's only two things. Um, and strengthened, okay, because it's past tense, right? The law. Now, you need a punctuation mark after law. What do you reckon it is? Comma. Yeah. Okay. Because you've got a while there. Okay. So you're starting a new clause. Yeah. While Obama only made it to track the gun buyer's background. Okay. So with this thing about tracking the buyer's background, what do you mean by that? Mm-hmm. Ah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, so the thing is, he proposed a law, okay, for mandatory background checks, they're called, okay? But that law wasn't actually passed. So he only proposed it, which means he suggested it, okay? It didn't become a law. He couldn't convince enough lawmakers to agree, right? So we need to change this a bit, okay? So while Obama only what? What did he do? Yeah, tried what? Okay. Um, only, hmm, okay. Tried to make a law. Hmm, maybe not quite. Uh, How about try to bring in a law? Okay, you can bring in a law um, on mandatory background checks. Yeah, yeah. So if something's mandatory, can you tell me what it means? Googling it. Okay. All right, it's in the chat box. Can you read that, please? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you have to do it, right? And it's a rule or a law. It could be made by the government, it could be made by a workplace or school or something like that, all right? So you could have mandatory school uniforms, for example. School uniforms are mandatory, you know? So that's how it might be used. This is another example. Can you read that, please? Mhm, mhm. So before that, you only had to have them in the front seats, right? Yeah. Okay, so can you give me an example of something that's mandatory at your school, apart from uniforms? Uh, So you could say we have mandatory school uniforms, but what else is mandatory? Like what? Okay, so can you give me an example of a rule at the school that everyone has to follow? You can't use the elevator. Ah, okay, okay. So who can use the elevator? Ah, okay, okay. So usually when you're using this word mandatory, you're saying that something must be done, not that something must not be done, if you know what I mean. So it would be hard to work it in to that. So can you give me an example of something that people should do? Not that something that's banned, but something that you have to do. Elders? Okay. Yeah, you should obey elders. Okay. So following orders from elders. So do you mean like staff members? Okay. But what about at school? Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's good. We should behave ourselves with teachers. Hmm. Okay. Um, so yeah, I guess so. Um, hmm. So, hmm, behaving properly, okay, uh, with teachers is mandatory. Okay. Um, what about attending school? Do you have to attend school like for certain, like between certain ages? Yeah. So between which ages? Ah, okay. So it would be something like this. Can you read that, please? Yeah, yeah. And it would be ages because it's plural. There's more than one age. Okay. If you want to say that something is banned, there's another really good word you can use. Okay. Prohibited. Yeah, prohibited. All right. So this is also an adjective. So it means like to officially refuse to allow something. Okay. Same thing. It's just, it's more likely to be used in the negative than the other one. The other's more about like what you do. This is about what you're not allowed to do. Okay. So, yeah. So if we're talking about those elevators, how do you think you'd use the word prohibited? Yes. At school. Yeah. Yeah. That's how you get it. Right. Good. All right. So I think we can move on now. I think I gave you a bit more. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we did that. I gave you a bit more homework. So where's that? Yep. Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what's new? Yeah, the automation one. So we're looking at page 3. Yeah. So the comprehension and vocabulary review, I think I asked you to do. Okay. Oh, okay. So did you do the comprehension? So it's on page 3. So where it says comprehension. So what I asked you to do was to finish. Yeah. So I asked you to finish the reading and then do the comprehension question. So that's basically to check that you did the reading and that you understand it. Okay. Mm, yeah. Oh, you did the warm. I think we already did the warm up questions actually. Um, so okay. Have you written something for the warm up questions? Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah. We did, but if you wrote something, then we can have a look at it if you like. Okay. Have you got the link? Okay. Okay, let's have a look here. Ah, it says the file you've requested does not exist. Yeah, really. Uh, it says the URL is incorrect. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's try that one. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, okay. Yep. So the first. All right. So can you read those three, please? Okay. Yep. So what is missing from that sentence? Okay. Yep. All right. So which machine do you use the most in your daily life? It's for that one. Okay. Yeah. Just in future, if it's possible, like I'd ask you to just put the question there. It's not letting me copy and paste, but like if you could just type it out. So which machine do you use the most in your daily life? Yeah. So I use a computer the most for gaming. Okay. So um, now it is grammatically correct now, but I guess the issue is that you're mirroring the question a bit too much. All right. So you're what I mean is like the wording is a bit too similar. You basically just changed it into a statement and added your answer onto that. Okay. So how would you make it so it's a little more different? So we have a bit more variety here. See, that's even more similar. Yeah, because now you're saying in my daily life, which is just changing the your to daily life. Okay. Now it's okay to use some of the words, like a couple, two or three is generally all right, but you don't want to like lift phrases or whole sections and just change them into your statement and add a little bit on the end. So something like instead of saying daily life, what's another term you could use? Hmm. So at the end, I think you could probably put so I use a computer the most for gaming on a daily basis. Okay. So you're still using daily. This is another way of saying, something you do sort of daily, okay, on a daily basis. Yeah, I exercise on a daily basis. I wish, but if I did, that's something I could say. All right. Um, so I use a computer for gaming. All right, on a daily basis. Okay. Um, would be perfectly fine. The most thing, I mean, it's in the question, so it's fine. Or something like maybe the device. Okay. I use the most. Yeah. So that would be, and then you could take on a daily basis and put it up here. And then what would you put in? Yep. Is. Then what? Is a computer. Yeah. And then what would you do? Yeah. Get rid of that the because you already have an ah. Good. All right. So can you read the whole thing, please? Yeah. Okay. So that would be one example of how you can change it. So it's a little, so basically, again, like in the past, we're looking for synonyms. So instead of thinking machine, you can think device or piece of technology could be another option. Okay. Yeah. Aha. Yes. Perfect. hmm You've got it. Yeah. Yeah. I can see about 6 machines. Aha, yes, that's right. You get rid of that N. For example, okay, there's only one thing you're missing. Oh, actually, a couple small things you're missing. So after the colon, you're missing a word. Yeah, you need, no, no, no. So for example, are you talking about one computer or more than one computer? A computer. Oh, so how many computers? Ah, okay. All right. So you need to put that number in. Okay. So I can see about 6 machines. Um, and you can get rid of this for example, actually. Okay. So because that colon is enough. Okay. You're just going to list things. I can see about 6 machines. So 2 computers. All right. And then how many clocks? A clock. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. And what about the smartphones? Okay. And before that 3, you need another word. And yep, because it's the third in the list. Yeah, you've got it. Okay. And just make sure you've got that space after the comma there. You always need that. And what's missing at the end? Yes, correct. Or a full stop, as we call it. Have you heard that before? Yeah. Okay. Full stop. Yeah. All right. Very good. Remember those. They're important. You may be missing one from somewhere else. Can you see where else you're missing a full stop? Yeah, there as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, right. Yeah. Can you read this one again, please? Perfect. Yes. Yes. Ah, okay. So there's a bit of a problem at the end there. Can you see what it is? Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. All right. I think art and music. Okay. So does this mean you've changed your mind? Okay, right. So if you've changed your mind, that first sentence doesn't 100% make sense to me. Okay. Okay, yes. So how would you make it past tense? Okay. Now, that's very close to being right. Okay. But it doesn't quite work. It's not quite natural. So here, you're right there's a word related to this that is right, but it's not quite right. So for me, I'd put I used to think. Okay. I used to think, or there's another option. So uh, I once thought. Okay. I once thought. Mm. And then you'd need probably that art and music can only be performed by humans. Okay. So there's a couple of options. Yeah. So if you change your mind, then I would probably use one of those. And there's certainly more, but those are probably the most common. Okay. Um, yeah. I used to think you can put a that in there. I would say if you put a that in there, it's a little more standard or a little more formal English. If you drop the that, it can make you sound slightly more informal. So if you're writing an essay, it's probably best to keep the at in. But yeah, okay. Art and music can only, aha, and now we need to change another verb, a helping verb, okay? Because we're talking about the past now. So what do you need to change? Yes, could. That's right. So same up here, it's could. Yeah. So could only be performed by humans. Good. All right. Now, you see this but. Um, generally, I would say, especially if you're writing essays or whatever, be very careful with starting sentences with conjunctions. Um, it can make your writing seem like more conversational or informal. Sometimes that's okay.